Why do we even have that button?
Well, it was a lever, but we remodeled, and it was more ergonomic to have a button.
Alligator noises here.
Hello and welcome to Cause and Effect. This is a Homebrew Dungeons & Dragons campaign. My name is Crash. I'll be your DM for the evening. Tonight I'm joined by a bunch of awesome people. Beth, Ellie, Milo, Eo may or may not be here. All good. And what happened last time?
Sad things.
We couldn't put the zombies back together again. And
there were attempts towards that, and no one appreciated them.
Yeah, Humpty Dumpty did not appreciate our attempts. I healed A, and then the fight ended, and there was then buttons, and they went beep boop, and it was awesome. And then a chair, and then it talked to us, and I think we tried to join the crew, but we also didn't join the crew, and I think we became independent contractors of the crew. And then we zooped back home because I was tired of being underground.
There was a very sad AI who had been trying. It was contractually required to preserve the lives of the passengers, except it was not preserving the lives of the passengers anymore. That was kind of a lost cause, but it was preserving their mobility, and they were getting out.
It was preserving the passengers. It was not preserving their lives.
It was a kind of a, yeah.
Yes.
This was perhaps the wrong programming to have given it.
Oh, it was the great programming for it to have if everything was functional. The people who designed the ship were not planning on it crashing into a swamp.
Do you suppose if we get someone with enough resurrection, we can start patching some of the piles of ash back together?
Where's Eo's teacher from like two seasons ago?
Well, hello, I'm still on the moon. Virtual Uber has... Well, their customer support is not returning my phone calls anymore. I'm trying to get off of the moon. Every time I say I have a legion of the undead with me, they're like, oh, sorry, that's another department.
Well, it's very difficult to get an Uber that can handle a legion of undead as well, you know?
That's why you have to put them all in trench coats and say they're living. They're just a normal legion.
You think with all the poor decisions that Uber has made that negatively affect their drivers over the years, making them drive a Legion of the Undead is not anywhere near the top of the bad list.
It is pretty true.
I've just made myself sad.
Aw.
That's not true. Spoiler, I'm always sad. That's my secret cap.
Aw.
Anyway, so yeah, Seelin is not available right now, unfortunately, and even then, Seelin wouldn't be resurrecting.
Yeah, he'd just be recycling.
Yeah, but like, then maybe we can trick the computer into thinking everything's okay.
Oh, no, you don't need to. You took the computer with you.
Yes. We grabbed it and ran.
Yes. And as soon as the computer was unplugged from the system, apparently all of the undead, well, all the undead that were from the ship, let me specify.
Yes.
The
applicable undead.
Stopped being functional because whatever the ship was using to control them and maintain them, it required active concentration.
It's really cool that we stopped all of the undead everywhere that have ever existed.
There's actually some undead that are canonically allies of various major organizations that would be very upset right now if that was the case.
No, don't stop some of them. Don't stop with the Snappy or the skeleton one in Circle of Tales.
What about Deborah?
That was never her name. You're talking about the Banshee, correct?
I thought there was a little skeleton kobold who was helping people.
Don't all kobolds have skeletons?
Everyone is technically a meat mech piloted by a skeleton, yes.
I knew it. The skeleton army's coming for me.
That's just all the bartenders whose tabs you haven't paid.
Also, all the bartenders running away from Karen.
Just the older ones. Anyway, what do you do with the crystal when you take it back to Flag Headquarters?
Aren't we, Tex was going, wasn't Tex going to give it to, Cockbucket Crash? Or is
that was my intention, yes.
Okay, I'm
Okay.
not gonna lie, because text ends with an X, my brain was like, X gonna give it to you.
Well, they're both one syllable, so you could still say tech's gonna give it to you, and it still parses properly.
True.
With that said, your payment for services rendered is a bit higher than the initial fee that you were supposed to be paid, so the party is going to get 5,000 gold to split however they wish.
Oh my god.
Evenly with everyone?
Yes. Fine. What is that math?
It's easier than trying to do anything else that isn't evenly with everyone.
You see, that's the nice thing about being the DM/GM for these games, because I don't need to do that math. I'm just going to say, the party gets this gold.
But like, I don't know how many people are in our party.
Right now, I've also forgotten.
That's the reason I was asking.
5 PCs plus A.
Okay, so 6?
Yes.
Okay, so I got a calculator out.
I count as a person.
Each
do
of us gets 833 and a third pieces of gold.
I have autonomy.
I'm fine with giving the whole spare gold.
2 people get 1 extra gold.
One of my earliest sessions in this group of friends, of which no one currently playing tonight other than me was in that session. The party received a certain amount of gold for doing something, and they were like, well, could you just increase it to this amount instead to make it easier on the math? I'm like, no. Especially since you asked for it to be increased by a few hundred gold? No.
So that's
make the math easier.
833 gold each.
100?
8.
800. 800.
8 is in the number that 7's afraid of.
Chadrick comes around and hands everyone 100 gold and says, that's your share.
And then we make squinty eyes until we get the rest of.
The rest is my tab. No, Chadrick actually doesn't owe anyone else.
I don't even think Chadrick knows how much Chadrick owes various bars.
Chadrick has unfortunately been almost responsible since we got A. Why do you want everyone to have 840?
Aww.
Because that way we don't have to divide gold pieces in thirds.
Well, no.
Yes.
The thing is, so if it's 800, A has a few extra, has like 3 extra pieces of gold. We have 833 each.
Okay, I have added that.
Yay.
I have 1,028 gold.
And if you scroll up just past the dog pictures,
Very
you
important.
also see, yes, the dog pictures are very important. They're canonical for a different plot line, different timeline, one that includes Milo and dogs.
Yes.
I have repasted the magic item costs for things.
I have to go look at items.
Yes, but what items might be around?
What
Bobby
is an
should-
item?
We just don't know.
It's like asking what is time.
If I could turn back.
It's
time-
space. If
Concerning.
you could turn back time, you'd be share. You would also have a giant cannon, which would be really weird.
Wait, didn't we actually turn back time?
No, you went back in time. Slightly different.
Okay.
If you want to turn back time, you need to fly up into orbit and go around the Earth really, really, really fast.
Okay.
And then never reference that again in any sequels.
I'd gotten the impression that at least one person decided he wasn't turning back time. He was breaking the speed of light and going back in time himself. So he was actually in 2 places at once, saving the day somewhere else and saving the girlfriend.
Don't you bring logic and sense into a Superman movie from the 80s?
But it's more fun that way. Trying to impose logic and sense along with what we know happened and not invalidate either one, it's the best problem solving.
Look, if you get rid of the loopholes, where are people going to get the infinite ammo they have in their firearms?
Well, I mean, I just, there's some things that you just can't solve. Some things you just don't pay attention to. But the ones that you can pay attention to,
What do I want?
magic. No. Great, now I've earwormed myself. No. How much is just a plain old... there they are, weapons. The thing about +1 ammo is that you lose it.
Yep.
So I feel like that's not necessarily the best of... it's useful to have if you're stinking rich or if you have it for special occasions, but
Do I want a wooden staff that makes bird calls 10 times?
You wouldn't be the first PC to have one of those.
It looks wonderful. Okay, if I got a staff of flowers, could I cause it to grow beer?
No.
hops. You want hops
Yeah, I'll make some hops.
Are hops flowers?
Yeah, they flower.
yeah.
Is the part of the hops that gets turned into beer the flower?
I think it may be.
I'm checking.
I'm fairly certain it's not the flowers that get fermented.
Hops are the dried flowering parts of the hop plant.
Hops are the flowers.
Okay, so here's what we can do. If you do get the staff that has flowers grow on it, because that's what the staff does, right?
Yeah.
You can then brew the staff into beer.
Let's see. It also says I can cause a flower to sprout from a patch of earth or soil within 5 feet of me.
There are times when I regret this being an audio media, so I have no interest in recording webcam footage for it. Because the expressions that went over my face, I'm sure, would have been worthwhile for inclusion. Instead, they are lost on the sands of time.
Tragic.
Truly tragic, yes. If you wish to buy this magical item, even if Quentin doesn't have it immediately, Quentin knows a guy who knows a guy. And can get it to you by sometime, maybe late tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, what do I want?
Oh, bother. Did I close what I... Ugh.
I understand what this is supposed to do, but the idea of buying a bottle of air is stupid.
Well, you don't need to buy a bottle of air. From the dust on that bottle, it likely has been on the countertop for quite some time.
Uncommon potion.
Actually, I think in one of my Mox's Guides books that I made, there is a potion that you can drink that after you drink it, you basically start burping a whole lot. And if you are in like wild space or underwater, it creates an envelope of air around you so you don't drown or suffocate.
I have a question. So I'm looking at this thing. I'm looking at the potion of poison. Is that just beer?
No. Beer is way cheaper.
Is it craft beer?
I would argue that if you spend that much on craft beer, you are already way too drunk to appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm just wondering if I can sell it to people that way.
What's the rarity? Is it a common magical item?
Uncommon.
It's uncommon. If Chadrick really wants to spend 300 gold on poison in order to drink it like it is an alcoholic beverage, I will not stop Chadrick. But at the same time, this GIF is the DM.
Concern. Darn it, where does it tell me what my damage is on a weapon?
Which weapon are you looking at?
I want to look at daggers. How much do I normally do?
1d4
I think
for
daggers are
daggers.
1d4.
Daggers are always 1d4?
Yeah,
Okay.
short sword is 1d6. They're not going to have a dagger do the same amount of damage.
Right. Maybe I should just try and find, some bonus on get a little +1 on my dagger or something. Get a magic dagger. What are those? Those are
If
weapon
it's,
+1,
if it's a
uncommon.
+1 weapon, it's uncommon, yeah.
I could afford one of those, couldn't I?
You could.
I think I might like to.
I can get an alchemy jug.
You could. You could have a jug of mayonnaise every day. I mean, you could fill it with other things too, but mayonnaise.
Why would you?
Why wouldn't I? It's a great instrument.
Suddenly, I'm thinking of Chadrick playing the jug next to an anthropomorphic otter.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I already own this one, don't I? I think I do, which is good because D&D Beyond won't let me look at it. So,
Oh, there's how I see it. So how do I upgrade I tell it it's an uncommon?
Just add the uncommon item to your character sheet. Or where are you adding it? Are you adding it in D&D Beyond or Foundry?
I'm trying to look at Foundry. I'm trying to figure out how to do it in Foundry.
Did you find the item in one of the compendium packs.
Have
you found the item in Foundry already?
No.
Okay.
Items.
What kind of item are you adding? A dagger +1 or a sword +1?
Dagger.
Oh my gosh, a
Dagger.
boomerang would be cool.
I am not using a boomerang. What would you say, Crash?
I was making a
Compendium pack.
reference. You're getting a dagger.
Uh-huh.
So let's see. Weapon.
Weapon, +1.
Simple. Oh my god! My gosh! It imported some of my magical items. The awesome dagger of sneak attacks is in here in Foundry,
Wonderful.
which is a great item for rogues who aren't very good at being sneaky, because you have to yell sneak attack when you're attacking with it in order for it to give you advantage on your attack roll. Technically, it works. Okay, but you want a dagger +1?
Yeah, just one of them, though.
Okay, I'm going to drag that over and see if it just adds it. It did. You now have a dagger +1.
So I will unequip that.
Oh
And
man,
equip
it's like
that.
the billowing.
And I moved it around. Yes! Put that one down there because I'm not using that one.
The only thing that might worry me is several of you level up your characters in D&D Beyond because it's easy to do,
Uh-huh.
and then I sync it. So it might, next time we sync it, make that dagger disappear.
So I should add it here, too.
Or at least make a mental note of, we need to make sure I don't lose my dagger. Otherwise, what will A steal from you to stab everyone in the back?
I mean, A's probably... It gets gold, too. A's probably going to buy their own backstabbing dagger.
I'm saving up for a thing.
Uh-huh. You're probably saving up for, like, a really big bomb that'll take out everyone but Chadrick and you.
No, that kind of blew up in my clan's face last time we tried something like that.
Good. Aw.
Keep in mind, A doesn't understand metaphors most of the time.
Aw. Inventory.
Yes, Ellie, you are right. You are very correct.
Has my commission come in?
I'm trying to remember the details of the commission. Was it the armor?
No.
We play this game so rarely, I've totally forgotten what the commission is.
I just linked it in chat.
See.
I'm going to say yes.
Excellent. Then I will buy it.
And then you do.
Gesundheit.
I love that this gives you advantage against restraints or doors. Tex has a history of fighting doors.
Yes.
Those doors don't stand a chance now.
Everyone's trying to get through the door. A and Hobby have both tried to pick the locks and not done well. Tex walks into the room. The door opens.
In fear of what Tex might do to it.
Well, yeah. Well, this magical item is called Chainbreaker.
A sensible door would, yeah.
I love that. Well, first of all, it's a warhammer that glows blue, so it's already pretty cool looking. +1, so basic. Adds a D4 to wisdom checks. This warhammer makes you smarter.
That is pretty nifty.
Or at least more sensible.
I didn't say that.
Mm-mm. I might actually get a weapon that could be helpful.
Character growth.
I know.
Aww.
Chadwick commissions his own personal custom weapon called Kill Stealer.
Let's see.
It's a warhammer where the head of the warhammer just looks like a keg.
Oh, there's this weapon called the Weapon of Warning that warns me whenever enemies attack and they cannot surprise me.
Yep.
So then I can't. I'm just imagining me being like, oh crap, I got 30 seconds to hide.
Oops.
And everyone else in the party just keeps an eye out for any time they see Chadwick run and lock themselves in a bathroom.
Okay, time to get the weapons out. But let's see. I still want it to be cool. Like, Chadrick's not going to use a not cool weapon. Let's be honest.
I should probably... Okay. That's because Chadrick would not notice a not cool weapon. I have simple needs, and an extra +1 when I stab something is one of them.
Okay, I think I found the two things I'm going to get myself.
Oh, I forgot I added gun blades to the list of items you could get.
Oh, wait. I can get a gun.
You can get a gun blade +1 if you want.
I have to look at this. How do I find items on here?
Where are you looking?
I'm looking on the Foundry thing.
So if you're looking at that bar across the top, there's one right next to the gears that says Compendium Pack.
Oh.
When you click on that, there's a whole bunch of folders. I'm looking through the one that says DDB items.
I don't see
all the
that.
items under DDB item. I'm sorry?
I don't see that.
Have to open
Okay.
item first.
There you go. Okay.
Thank
then
you.
you
I forgot
scroll
I
down.
clicked inside a subfolder.
Yeah.
Welcome to People Are Still Trying to Figure Out How to Use Foundry VTT. Episode We Forgot.
Please.
Yeah, we're getting better at it.
We'll
So
get there.
The description of the Gunblade, which the only reason we have Gunblades is because Chris wanted one for his character in a previous campaign.
And Paige has one.
Paige has one because said character made one for Paige as an agreement.
Yes.
This peculiar-looking sword features a trigger just below the hilt, similar to that of a pepper box. If triggered at precisely the right time, it causes an explosive burst of magical flame to erupt from the end of the blade. Whenever you score a critical hit on an attack roll with this sword, it deals an extra 4d6 fire damage to the target. You have a +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls made with this magic weapon. This weapon benefits from a fighter gunslinger's quick draw feature, which you don't have that, but the weapon's pretty good regardless of that. It's a finesse weapon, so if your bonus to dexterity-based attacks is higher, you can use this with that.
Let me see.
Loading up your character sheet, strength and dexterity are equal. So it does not matter.
It does not at all. I'm not great at this.
My understanding is that's working as intended.
Yeah, it's a feature, not a bug.
Even if sometimes you live to regret that.
Yes. I'm not always grateful about that bug, but it's there.
So, are you going to replace one of your two choices with the Gunblade?
Still trying to find the gunblade. I think I keep opening the wrong item folder.
The item, it's under the item folder, and then you scroll down to DDB items, because these are imported from D&D Beyond.
Yep, okay, that looks different now.
And they should be alphabetical order in there.
They are. Just looking at things and stuff and things.
You can get a dancing weapon. Those fight for you.
That sounds very plausible.
Actually, it's not entirely true. You can use a bonus action to toss them.
Close enough. I mean, Chadrick could toss it out the door and then slam the door behind him.
By the way, I'm looking under martial melee.
I found Gunblade. Arm blade.
If you are using an arm blade, you have to be a warforged.
Tragic.
Okay, so
Well, we could try
how
installing blades inside your arm, but that's called stabbing you.
I guess.
Crash. Claws. What are claws if not finger knives?
They are not arm blades.
No, but
Well,
same similar principle.
technically, as a tabaxi, they're technically retractable.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the same thing.
And they're already on your character sheet.
You can try to make the argument that a hot dog is a sandwich. And
No.
even if technically it can fit the definition, you're still not going to convince most people.
No. Not trying to convince you of getting an arm blade. We just work on the idea of what if enchanted finger claws? What if enchanted finger knives? No?
No.
We
Because
can't
when you're
enchant
attacking with your
claws?
claws, it's technically an unarmed strike.
I feel like there ought to be a way to enchant that.
Oh, there is. First, we declaw you.
And
What about
shoot
little
off your knuckles?
Actually, I have a better idea. Okay, you know how for like real cats, there are these little rubber claw tippers. They stick on the claws so the cat can't scratch anything. So you take something like that idea, but they're like press-on magical claws.
The press-on magic items.
Yes.
I hate this.
Yeah, okay, I want that gunblade. And I've decided the other thing I want is the deck of illusions.
No good can come from this, and I'm here for it.
I can use it to run away really well.
Okay, let me drag over the gunblade. It is now on your character sheet in your inventory in Foundry.
Awesome. You're right.
And the deck of illusions, you said?
Yep.
That is a wondrous item. Uncommon. Okay, so yes, you can buy it.
I feel concerned.
I gotta find a way to get an automatic card dealer.
You now have a deck of illusions on your character sheet.
Awesome.
May Gygax have mercy on us all.
I have concerns.
I specifically did not invoke a merciful person.
I have
Gygax games were rough.
I mean, he was treating it like a war game and not a RPG.
Also, look at the rules for like first edition Dungeons and Dragons. It was
Please,
stuff like, oh, this character has touched you. You lose a level.
I remember those. I think those were in AD&D too.
Or,
Roll.
in fact, XP loss continued as late as 3rd edition.
You touched someone, you got dumber.
I mean, there's also the deck of many things.
Yes.
No one who adds that to a game really cares if the players survive.
Cruelty.
Or they're incredibly inexperienced. Or they love chaos, which goes with the first thing I said.
Actually, on that note, I think my next character I want to do wild magic, if you don't mind.
What species has immunity to magic?
You're trying to make sure you can't get hurt by me.
Yes.
In this game, there isn't one. Not to my knowledge. That would be too game breaking.
Resistance to magic, then.
There is in Cypher System there is an ability called Dumb Luck, which actually means worse things happen to you constantly, but half the time you actually just Mr. Magoo your way out of it.
Okay, it could work with that.
Yeah, I'm just imagining the fun of my character randomly doing completely unnecessary things whenever I try to help out in a battle.
Concerning.
It can be hilarious, and a good time can be had by some.
I'm not going to say that I'm going to be happy with every situation, but it will be fun to roleplay.
There you go.
I'll just sit here being concerned. Tap, 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 tap.
Fair and valid.
Percy, do not sneeze on me. You may settle. Do not sneeze. Don't you dare sneeze on my computer.
Sneeze, sneeze,
And I see that Ellie has already added Chainbreaker, which is good, because I just realized, wait, I need to add that too. No, I don't. Ellie has hacked the system. And by hack the system, I mean learned how to drag and drop. At some time.
Just said, I'm in. And actually, I just remade the item in the Foundry.
I mean, yes, you can do that too. It apparently did not import, so you would have had to. Okay, that works. If it works, it works, and it worked.
Yay.
Yes. So, after your shopping spree, which involves text going in and saying, hey, has my commission arrived? And then she gets it, and everyone else going, oh, what about this? What about this? Oh, Gunblade! And then an argument over why you can't enchant your fingernails.
Mm-hmm.
What if you got magic nail polish?
You know, give me an afternoon and I might be able to homebrew something for that. But it's not going to work the way you want it to.
I feel like there ought to be something that basically makes your claws able to be used to hit things that can only be hit by magic.
Oh, there is. It's called Take Levels in Monk.
That's a really good point.
You get to a point where you can punch ghosts.
That's a really good point.
I'll keep that in mind.
On another plane of existence, Tyrius goes, well, then maybe she'll at least take the levels.
Maybe.
Okay,
Possible.
well, after this occurs, at some point, the intercom system, because there's some very rich founders, and Flag is making bank with all these quests being completed. So, of course, they have an intercom system. Has a static sound and a bing, boom, to get everyone's attention. And pardon the interruption. Could TX841 please report to the barbershop? TX841, please report to the barbershop.
Okay. I will report to the barbershop.
Okay.
Other PC will trail along curiously.
And the DM will click on the thing he wasn't supposed to click on.
Oh no, not the thing.
Dun,
There's
dun.
always a thing.
Have my fantasy Hilton points gotten any what's the word?
They do not
residue?
gain interest.
Yeah, thank you. I was like, it
You
starts with
need
an
to
I.
attend more events.
Versus.
And you've been too busy being useful.
This is the worst.
Okay, so you head to Cogbucket's Infirmary and Barbershop. Cogbucket is, of course, in there. A section of the shop, like there's a section that is obviously for the care and trimming of hair follicles and things attached to them. There's the section that is very clearly, oh, it's not your hair that's wrong. Well, that too. But also, let's stop you from leaking fluids all over the floor. But there's also now, in the past month or so, gotten to be an increasingly large section that is more tech-based, and there's buttons and blinking lights, and could you please not press that? Sorry! It was just so shiny.
It's wiser not to press the shiny things. You never know what might trigger.
I felt like it was calling to me. No, that's the built-in speaker. I had it set up to recite the alphabet, and it sort of got stuck. Anyway, on one table, there is a device that has several thin spikes that are arranged sort of like, I forget how to describe it, but basically, they are all pointing inwards and holding a very familiar-looking crystal.
Oh.
Above a thing that none of you knows what it does because it wasn't here before. It possibly was assembled since the crystal was delivered. Ah, good. You are here. I have been examining this find that you brought in. I'm told it was... Well, you said it was from a ship? ...
Yes, apparently a very old one.
Are we
talking... Very old one.
Oh, I think I am picking up what you are putting down, if I get the idiom correct. Well, that's particularly interesting because this seems to be a derivation of whatever science and magic went into the creation of the previous group of crystals you brought me. The ones from the crashed Elf Armada ship?
Interesting.
Yes. If those crystals were a lizard, this would be a dragonborn. You would be a dragon.
I have always wondered what it would be like to be a dragon.
Well, comparatively speaking, that is the correct way of arguing power levels. Although, I was unaware that the Elf Armada existed that far back.
Maybe they derived their lizards from ships like these?
I'm in an unfortunate position because the player knows a lot more than the character does.
While I would not... I see a roll of 12, but I don't know what bonus. Ah, there were no bonuses. It's just 12. Okay.
History.
Unfortunately, in this particular case, Chadwick don't know much about history.
Don't know much biology. Sorry.
I just realized I was muted. I was saying that Chadwick did go to school. So, he may have drank his way through it, but he did go to school.
There were a few Chadwicks in my math class in college.
Still better than the ones in mine.
Yeah, my understanding is they were all on the football team, and the math teacher had been on a football team, and there were tests where he was like, well, you all did poorly, so we're just going to reteach this. I did no homework in that class. Oh, Milo, with what you have written in chat, I'll go one up. I had a photography teacher who would smoke in the darkroom. There's multiple reasons why that's a bad idea.
That's chemicals.
I once saw him with another class. He was walking out of the darkroom holding a developer tray with a photo in it in one hand and a lit cigarette in the other.
Are the chemicals flammable?
Moving on. Because I do want to point out Tex has gotten a 19 on a history check. So Tex, what do you want to know? Or what do you want Tex to know?
I am trying to determine if Tex would have picked up the whole kobold history thing.
By whole kobold history, that is a lot. I can't even say, no, there's too much. Let's sum up. So what part specifically are we talking about?
The Kobold Empire used to be huge, and then they got destroyed.
Ah. I'm going to say, because so much of the starting point for this campaign resolved around a kobold getting murdered on the moon, that with a 19, you know enough about the history of the Kobold Empire to know there was a Kobold Empire and then there wasn't. At the very least.
I would hope so. I would think that elementary school students would probably learn about the moon disappearing.
Texas from another planet.
Still.
And also from the future.
But then
no, that's
so are
what
you.
I mean. Like in history classes, we learn about like the French Revolution. I'm pretty sure they had a segment on the moon disappeared.
I don't know. It might be something that doesn't happen like infrequently.
Everyone.
You are all from far enough in the future that wasn't necessarily a thing. What you were learning more about was, there's these things called jurors. They're basically taking over all of existence.
It's a problem.
And in the research to try to find out how the jurors were doing this wasn't something learned in school. You learned about the Kobold Empire and Dax and Cogbucket all through the research that was being done to find out how to stop the jurors before they started.
Oh, so I really have no idea what's going on because I'm not even supposed to be here.
You weren't even supposed to be here.
I don't even go here.
But you're here now.
While everybody else was learning history, you studied the blade.
No,
By
more
blade,
like
you
the
mean
booze.
check stand.
Yeah.
The gun blade.
Okay, yeah, the MBA.
This text get it?
Yes.
Oh, good.
And I like how Chadwick just got a gun blade, and now it's like, this is an important part of my backstory. I have had it for 5 minutes.
This is actually my father.
What's that?
What I said is this is actually my dad, Mr. Gunblade. I just really, really like it.
No,
This
no,
was
my
my
father
father's blade, by which I mean his credit card paid for it.
Exactly, that's how inheritance works.
along with the correspondence course that I've successfully passed in order to become a paladin. Of what
Hey.
deity? Oh, I
Anyway,
didn't quite hear that.
moving on.
Anyway,
Yeah, right.
this all barrel rolled down a hill that was on fire because Tex rolled a 19 on an intelligent history check to see how much Tex remembered about the Kobold Empire being a thing. Tex does remember that the Kobold Empire had been a thing.
Tex will explain that if the Kobold Empire was a thing that far back, the Elf Armada might also have been a thing that far back, and they might both have been involved in whatever it was that turned Circulus into a circle.
It's, again, possible. None of us was around that far back. However, Elf Armada ships are predominantly made of a living crystal. This crystal that you found was in a ship that was mostly metal. I'm more inclined to believe that if it is, in fact, taken from the Elf Armada, it was repurposed by a third party.
That might explain the flaming zombies.
The what now?
The zombies on fire?
Ah, okay. That makes more sense.
They were flaming. I mean, they were on fire. They were walking around on fire.
And I don't think we put them on fire.
No.
They were like that when we found them.
No, it's factory issue.
Or something issue.
I'm not going to go that far.
I mean, I don't think there were zombies when they came out of the factory.
That would be very upsetting for everyone involved.
Yes.
What were we talking about? I believe we were starting to talk about crystals, but we keep getting sidetracked in our conversations. Odd. Actually, that's kind of normal. Cogbucket Senior blinks. This is a conscious effort because Cogbucket, as a mechanical being, that when you first met Cogbucket did not have eyelids, does not need to blink, but Cogbucket has had them installed.
Because sometimes you need to blink.
To deal with Flag, and specifically to deal with us, Cogbucket has installed irises around his eyes. Their eyes.
Well, the Cogbucket Senior is he, him.
Oh, okay. That's right.
That's
right.
Junior,
that's right. It's JR.
Yeah.
That's them.
Yeah. Senior was not given a choice by the person who programmed them. And, well, there's a long backstory towards that, but we're not going to go into it right now. But in any case, I appreciate that I have 3 monitors, but then I can never find my mouse. And they're not arranged in a row. One is higher than the others. So if I move it back and forth to make it appear on one screen or the other, but it's up just high enough, I just don't see it. But in any case, I need to get my eyes checked again.
Oh.
In any case, wow, you are very smart. You figured out all kinds of cool stuff.
Blink, blink.
There is a woman in the room with you who was not there a moment ago who has fluorescent brown hair.
How does that even work? Oh no, it's her.
Physics don't always apply for this particular individual when it comes to making things fluorescent that should not be fluorescent.
Is this the one that told me I was half beer?
And took you apart to find out.
There was at least one moment where her hair was fluorescent black. It was the opposite of Vanta-black, but still black.
Oh,
Oh, hello. Anyway, this is a really neat find. We heard other people tried to escape the whole moon impact thing, but we thought they hadn't made it. Turns out, mostly they didn't make it. Hobby, that was a 15 on a stealth check. What are you doing?
Hiding.
I will not laugh at that. I will not laugh at that. You answered the question I asked.
I want to ask her what my BAC is now.
I'd have to take you apart again.
Did it hurt last time?
A lot.
Yeah.
But you were taken apart, so you couldn't scream.
Okay, let's do it.
What? How about
I'm curious.
Y'all watch Chadrick explode and then come back together. Chadrick, I'm gonna do a thing because I can.
Yeah.
That is not the thing I wanted to do. I'm requesting a Constitution saving throw.
I'll let you know when it pops up. Or do you just want me to do it?
It should have popped up, but you can also just do it.
might be under a window or something.
Yeah, I'm trying to look around, see if I see anything.
It should be a huge pop-up in the middle of the map.
I know. I don't have one yet. So I'll just...
Go to Attributes and click on the...
Yep. And it's a saving throw.
So it's the one that says +6.
Yep.
All right. When you're put back together, you stay on your feet and don't collapse into a heap whimpering.
Whew.
Your current percentage is 0.8, which is also probably why it hurt so much more.
Yeah, that wasn't great.
Well, you asked, I answered.
I did, and thank you.
Don't mention it.
I won't.
I love this as much as Chadrick hates it.
Oh, buddy.
Anyway, this is a really neat little thing, and she just sort of glides over. You're not sure she's using feet, and picks the crystal up from where it was positioned. It's almost sentient, which is kind of neat.
It's a nice thing. It was trying to help.
Oh, yes, it failed horribly, but it was trying to help. That's not the interesting part. That's not the really interesting part. The really interesting part is how a bunch of people who didn't have a whole lot of tech managed to get their hands on one of these, and how a derivative of this made its way into you. And she looks right over at Tex. And she's holding it up and looking over at Tex and looking back at it, looking over at Tex, looking back at it. One could say this is like a great-great-great-great-great-great-great-granduncle of yours.
That does seem plausible. I am not particularly versed in the specifics of my creation.
Well, yes, most people aren't, which is another interesting puzzle. You aren't my tech. I say my tech because I'm the last person who has any control over that kind of tech. So it is all mine now by right of inheritance. You're not his tech either, and she points over at Cogbucket. You're your own thing. Well, you and the other one.
That does seem reasonable.
She rests her head in her hands, which is weird because her body posture is that she's like leaning over a counter as she does this. There's no counter. She's just in midair. Reasonable. Please fill me in. Why does that seem that way?
X is extremely torn between wanting to be helpful and understanding that revealing too much to this person might be a really bad idea.
But just because she can make people explode at a whim?
Mm-hmm.
Little things like that, yeah.
It wasn't too bad.
She's only done it 3 times. Twice to the same person.
Before I continue, I would like your assurance that I will continue to exist in my current state beyond the boundaries of this conversation in the future, and knowing that I have no way of holding you to any such promise.
That sounds incredibly boring, but if you want to stay the same, sure. You're kind of interesting this way.
I simply mean that I would prefer not to be disassembled.
Oh, that's fair. For the record, everyone I've disassembled recently, I asked permission first, or they asked first. And I mean that in a, they actually asked, not a, they were asking
Not they
for
were
it.
asking for it.
I have learned
I
recently
understand.
there's a difference between those two things.
Statistic. He's so proud of me.
What was that? I answered statistic.
Look, Ma, I'm a statistic. You said I would never amount to anything. I'm a number.
You are 2/3 of the recent disassembly cases.
That is more than what Mom said.
Very
So
well.
everyone ignores Chadwick crying tears of joy for reasons that no one cares to discern.
Yeah, pretty much.
And we move back to Tex, who is about to reveal a thing, if I can speak properly.
My name is CRCF27TX841. Generally, people call me Tex. I am a member of a peacekeeping squad assigned to Circulus to keep the world under the control of the jurors. And you do not know anything that I'm talking about because this happened thousands of years in the future.
You know I do my research.
Yes.
You know you've told this story to others.
We didn't know.
The player's not sure which story she means.
The fact that you were all from the future and you came back in time.
Okay.
After the incident on the moon where you prevented Dax's death, you basically got interrogated is a harsh word, but there was a question and answer session with Monty before you were sent down to the surface.
Okay.
So that information was not revealed directly to this entity that you're talking to now, but it was told to somebody. And that somebody has passed it on to other people.
Apparently.
And the question is, how far did it travel? We know it.
Right.
Apparently, what's being hinted at is it traveled at least to this person in front of you. So what you've just said, I am aware of, and that's kind of neat, I guess. That's not the curious part. You see, when you're really good at something, you tend to find ways to use that a lot to make life easier. You might do some experimentation with other methods here and there, but if there's something you need to do a lot of, you go with the tried and true. So most of the jurors, nearly all of them, used the same tech. My tech, actually. I put some of that in JR, and JR used that in the future, or will or would have, this wibbly wobbly timey wimey, you get the idea, to make a whole bunch of jurors to do the things that, well, we've already covered that. But that tech isn't in you. You're not even a throwback to the previous tech that made JR. You're something else, a derivative of this, which has nothing to do with JR at all. And she's holding the crystal in her hand again, turning it around. So the question is, why would two of you be different when that was so much more work?
When you say two of us.
Mech. I think that's what she's called, right?
Yes. I was just making sure.
Now, there is some tech in you that's made to look like my stuff, but I gotta be honest, no one checked. It's food coloring. Aerosolized food coloring. I'm not even making this up. Mech hasn't had it changed in a while, but eventually that stuff's gonna biodegrade. Yes, Beth is right in chat. There's more blinking. Mech has said that Mech is powered with the blue smoke, the mysterious blue smoke, which in all the other jurors was essentially a swarm of nanites, the kind of tech that this particular individual uses. But no, there are no nanites, not in you two.
Well, I know my repair system works.
Oh, yes, there's repair mechanisms, but you don't need nanites to do that. It's, in my opinion, way more cost-effective to use nanites, but there's other ways, and that's what your tech has been using. Am I right? And Cogbucket looked at this individual for a little bit and then nods. Anyway, this was like a cool toy. I'm going to go play with it. See you later.
Can you at least give it a life?
She has already disappeared in a poof of blue smoke that dissipates rapidly until it's invisible, and the crystal is gone as well.
Bucket, I have a question.
Yes.
Do you have reason to believe that she can see and hear everything that goes on? Or is she just very clever?
My understanding, this is not the first time she's appeared.
Yes, we've seen her before.
She stopped time. Or stopped everyone else's time.
My performance was ruined!
She is from a civilization that, scientifically speaking, was significantly more advanced than our own. But even what we have can easily be used to survey someone remotely. I think after you have left, I am going to search this entire section of the building for bugs.
Before you do that, would you take a walk with me? It can be a brief walk.
Sure. And the two of you head out the door.
Okay.
Or just walk to the other part of the room. Either way.
It's somewhere else is the key.
Okay. You go for a walk.
Because the question I'm trying to figure out is, did the GM forget, or does the nameless neon-haired person not know about the third core?
The question one should think about is, while you clearly got Sclerora's attention, the question is, when did you get it, and when did she plant the bugs?
Right.
Because the third core is not something that you have talked about openly in most situations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's largely a secret between me and Cogbucket and possibly the rest of the party, if they were paying attention.
So there are two possibilities. Either Sclerora doesn't know because she bugged or started surveying Cogbucket's barbershop that late in the game that you'd already had that conversation and you didn't bring it up again since the bugging started. Or she knows it's a secret and thought it'd be fun to keep it.
Got it. So we can't assume that she doesn't know about it.
I mean, you can if you want to.
We can't safely assume that she...
Depends on your definition of safe. I mean, she's only exploded people who asked for it.
Recently.
I did use that word.
You did use that word.
That was the information that I wanted to get.
Okay.
And I figured if she had the location bugged, then getting out of the location was the best idea for her.
I mean, you should probably go in some small room afterwards where only the two of you can fit so that, she can't sneak in invisibly and, stop time, sneak in and listen to what you say after.
She manifests a copy of her body using nanites.
Anyway, we should take a break.
We should. I will say that shortly after Cogbucket Sr. and Tex walk out of the room, A collapses.
Uh-oh.
And now we're going to take a break.
Because it had to be a cliffhanger. You pressed the wrong button.
I always press the wrong button.
Oh, no.
A is whimpering.
No! I am there. I am there.
A is in a fetal position.
This is incorrect. Wait. Can I detect disease?
Can you?
I can. I'm asking, can I?
There's no diseases.
Okay.
Which is weird. You are in an infirmary. But Cogbucket's pretty good. So, no, there's no diseases in here.
Okay. Let's see. What do I have?
At this point, canonically, Tex and Cogbucket are still out for their walk. They had to go some distance before they were certain or relatively certain they were not being listened to. That is a 15 medicine check.
Medicine skill check.
All right, well, you have determined that the pain is happening somewhere in A's lower abdomen.
I have a 21.
You have determined that the pain is happening somewhere in A.
I have a 21.
No, with a 21 almost, well, not in that 20, but with that higher 21, you could tell the same thing. Whatever's wrong with A is inside A, and therefore, without doing certain things to take a look inside and understanding specifically cobalt physiology, you might not be able to diagnose it.
A, did you eat something bad?
A is only whimpering.
Chadrick, do you have a healing spell?
I can lay on hands.
Maybe give it a
Lay on
try.
hands. Your lay on hands pool is larger than A's total hit points, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it is. Zoom.
Okay. A has full hit points.
Is he still freaking out?
They are still freaking out.
May I compel the two remaining party members to do an intelligence check?
And call for you two?
We have flagstones for this reason.
Oh, right. Yeah, Javi will probably do that.
While that's happening, I'm going to cast Calm Emotions.
Not bad.
Okay.
I'm going to assume that he wants to fail this saving throw.
A is not feeling anxious about the extreme pain, but A is still in extreme pain.
Buddy, can you tell me if you ate something weird?
This is a cobalt we're talking about. 90% of their diet is something weird. The only canon thing that kobolds have about eating is they're not allowed to eat talking meat.
Didn't I see him down a potion or something once?
Yes, when you were traveling through the woods and the swamp, you did, on more than one occasion, see A drinking a potion.
Can I think to make a what sort of check would I do to think about if that caused it?
I'm going to have the medicine check apply to that.
Okay.
Because not only, if I remember correctly, when you first caught A doing this stuff and got suspicious about it, you read surface thoughts also.
Oh yeah, I did. I was smart.
Yes. You were that concerned parent. You were
Going to the
adulting.
diary.
I did it. Hey, how many of those potions have you had?
A whimpers.
I'm reading his mind.
A is not able to respond to things right now.
Can I read his mind to get the answer?
Good question.
Who gave you the potion? Trying to see if I can get a face.
I'm going to say this has been going on for a while, and Tex and Tex and Cogbucket are returning, and
Hoppy is calming.
You hear Cogbucket say, "I did."
What's in it?
It is a concoction that helps to dull pain receptors.
Why is he in so much pain? Because obviously that's not working.
It was working. It dulled the pain. That was its only job. It treated a symptom.
What's causing it?
What caused the initial pain?
A's body.
What's wrong with A's body?
Absolutely nothing.
Why does it ouch?
I'm being obtuse. I apologize. There was a lot of conversation already about this, and you weren't there for it. A specifically requested that I not share the information, and as a physician, there was privilege. Technically, I'm a cleric, but priests also are sometimes asked to keep secrets. Kobolds, how much do you know about kobold physiology?
They're small.
You are correct. Very good.
He eats many things. I don't really know a lot. I wasn't Actually, wait. Can I roll to see if I know anything about kobolds?
Yes, you may. Roll a medicine check.
Yeah, I was like, wait a second, I have abilities. Nope, I know nothing. They're small.
Okay, yeah. You know kobolds are small, and they eat things where you're like, well, I wouldn't eat that. And we've seen the kind of stuff that you eat for breakfast when you have a hangover. So you were pretty sure there were raw eggs in that remedy. The people who made it for you were a little unclear. Kobolds, like some lizard species, kobolds and reptilian and amphibian species as well, kobolds are able to change their biology. This is not done consciously. It's done through hormones. It's done through pheromones. If a disaster strikes a kobold clan and they end up with more biological males than females, the numbers readjust.
Are you saying that A is changing to be or stop being an egg layer?
No.
A's
And
trans?
that's the problem. Well, my understanding is trans is when the biology does not match how the person feels they should be. I'm only speaking of the biology at this point. A's clan suffered a lot. One could argue that they brought most, if not all of that, upon themselves. The clan as a whole repeatedly attempted to seize power and take over other clans. And when you first encountered A's clan and wiped out most of it, as I recall, they were attempting to take over the moon. Most of these attempts ended not just with disaster in regards to the plot, but disaster for their numbers.
You're saying A's biology doesn't know which it wants to be?
I'm saying at the time you met A's biology was already shifting, and then A stopped being around kobolds. So the shifting stopped midway.
That sounds bad.
And then because the other kobolds wouldn't take him in, we've been trying to get him a job with other kobolds, but because the other kobolds won't take him in, he can't be around them. And I needed to make friends.
This is something that I suggested when A first approached me. A has apparently not been making friends as easily as I have.
I've been trying to get him to get a job, and he hasn't been able to.
something about the last group of kobold they met hog tying them and hiding them under your bed was
Oh,
mentioned.
it happened. Yeah, it's been rough. We've been trying.
And you may recall when you went to the kobold union, the ones that work in the sewers, A hung back the entire time
Mm-hmm.
and kind of just played in the ashes. Well,
We thought they
technically-
might be walking around.
A kept their distance intentionally.
Yeah.
They didn't try to act like they were keeping their distance. They were adventuring casually. But the problem that I am encountering is this is not something that I can cure, neither with divine magic or potions. I can heal damage, but the changes that have taken place and stalled, they are not damage. This is what a kobold's body is designed to do.
We need to find some kobolds who will be nice to A.
Even just long enough for him to finish.
Well, my understanding is that the moon is currently, for the most part, off limits, and the kobolds that live here in Flotsam are unwelcoming to anyone who has previously been on the moon.
Yeah. He did tell me that. A did tell me that. What is there another city on this frickin' planet that has kobolds that aren't prickly?
Not
Alex gets up and walks out of the room.
Do we have any more painkillers that might help?
Not a city, but what do you know of a small kingdom called Kumrid?
Yeah.
Tex,
Okay.
when you walk out of the room, what do you do?
I had to. Just a second. I have to look at the map to remember what I'm doing.
Nope.
And because of the way the map is
You have to
built,
walk.
I have to actually walk to the place that I need to look at.
The other day I was like, oh wait, I can add walls and doors to this map. So I did, and I made it much less useful.
Perfect.
I need to talk to security. And I actually can't decide whether I need to talk to member information or quest registration.
Member Services handles both.
Okay. Then I need to talk to member services.
All right. You go up, and there's a Member Services employee right behind the counter. What do you do?
I need to speak to a representative of the Circle of Tales as soon as possible.
And you know what? I think that's where we're going to end it for tonight.
Reasonable.
Reasonable.
That is a
Okie
wonderful
dokie.
line to end it on. And if I extend it, it won't be as good. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, everyone, for playing. Tonight I was joined by a bunch of awesome people, including Beth,
What?
Ellie, and Milo. Yes, once again, there was plot during the intermission. But
And I
hey,
helped.
for like 40 minutes, you were shopping.
That's
Yes.
really true. We also weren't
And-
really talking. We were
And you
just
got a
talking.
gunblade.
You get a gunblade.
You did get
I
a
also
gunblade.
stand up comedian bit again.
And I'm going to have to look up what a Deck of Illusions does, because I don't remember.
Send you the link.
No, I've got it on your character sheet. I just click on it and view it, but I haven't read it recently. So, who wants to plug a thing?
Leo's mom writes books. Elizabeth-mccoy.com. It's com, right? Or is it .net? Now I can't remember
It's
anymore.
.com.
.com. Thank you. I'm just blanking right now. And you can also request that your local library please purchase the ebooks so you can read them for free on the Libby app.
Can confirm my local library has books by Beth on the Libby app.
Ooh. Judgment in general.
Really?
And speaking of social media,
Right.
Alright. Decentralize. I had to remember the word. I'm gonna decentralize social media called elec.xyz. That's ELEKK.xyz. It's part of the whole Macedon thing that some people have heard about.
I
and
do
it's
like
a
that
place-
you called it Shruggers Federated, because
Distributors Federated
that
Media.
is the great thing about it, is you can federate with other servers, but you can also not be federated with the ones you don't want to federate with.
Yeah, I don't have to see the people who I think are not cool. And anyways, yeah, it's a place where people talk about games and other geeky things without having to worry about anyone being rude to them.
Yay!
Aww.
And speaking of not being rude, wait, that's not me. Well, we do have a Patreon. I will rudely ask for money. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/cogwheelgaming. Help us keep the lights on, along with other illustrious patrons, including Chris, Ellie, Eric, Shen, Walter, and patron emeritus Cindy. And until next time, this is Crash saying, all right, and coming around the bend, it's number 13. Number 13 wins the sheep race. Good night, everybody.
Night.
Good night.